It's late October, and we've crossed over the Continental Divide from Durango, where we've departed from the early 1970s on the Silverton Branch in late fall. As we transit over the Great Divide, we find ourselves in a change in the weather as snow squalls have set in. We're in Chama on the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad for their Toltec Rattler Redux, a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the first photo freight ever ran on the Cumbres and Toltec, that ran on the fledgling Scenic line on the 22nd of October in 1972 behind K36 locomotives 483 and 484. This original special left Chama, ran to Bighorn, and returned to Cumbres that evening, all while doing run-bys at multiple locations such as Cascade Trestle, Toltec Siding, and Rock Tunnel. 50 years and 2 days later, with the 483 long sidelined in favor of other locomotives, 484 alone would lead this modern incarnation of the Rattler solo. Due to popular demand, the trip sold out within moments on the first day tickets were made available, and a second day was quickly added. With the tickets unable to be purchased for the first day, we were able to get on the second day of ticket sales. While we chased both days from Chama to Cumbres, on the second day we rode from Cumbres to Bighorn and return. So we'll jump along and follow the Rattler from Cumbres to Bighorn and the return to Cumbres. We start before the sun peaks above the Conejos Range at the first crossing of Highway 17 near Jukes Tree. The 484 peaks around the corner after crossing the Rio Chama, just out of sight, hidden deep in the bosque. At Broad Spur, the location of a long ago removed lumber mill, the Rattler breaks free from the Chama yard limits. Clipping along a long straightaway that started after the bend at the Rio Chama and Jukes Tree, we've finally arrived at the Narrows, a tightening of the valley of the Rio Chama, where the river, railroad, and highway all seem to be atop one another. At milepost 342, we officially enter the Narrows, which we'll be in until Lobato. Lake Lobato marks the end of the Narrows, and is a fill over a drainage to create a stock tank, though by this time of the year it's quite dry. Banded Peak rises high above Lobato as we watch 484 navigate from Lobato Trestle and around the Horn to the location at Dalton. At the second crossing of Highway 17, the sun is high above the horizon as the 484 digs deep into the constant 4% grade of Cumbres. Just west of Cresco, the 484 navigates the zigzag curves of the state line as the railroad hugs the ever-steepening slopes of Wolf Creek, heading for the gap at Hamilton's Point. At Hamilton's Point, the railroad is pulled into a narrow cleft of a canyon between Cresco and Coxo, a natural gate between the valley below and the park that lies at the base of the summit. Finally, entering that park, we arrive at the third crossing located at Perry's Pond, so named for its frequent inclusion in photographs by Otto Perry, the famed Colorado rail photographer of the later years of the Rio Grande. Rounding Windy Point, the summit will finally have been surmounted by the Rattler, as the Rattler leaps over the trestle that now lets the Continental Divide Trail flow under, since Highway 17 has long ago been relocated to a level crossing just to the east of the current station. Here, the locomotive will take on water, and the train will have the requisite brake test performed before dropping down the long, gently sloping eastward grade. Dropping off the divide at Cumbres, the railroad navigates the Cumbres Loop, better known now as the Tanglefoot Curve. Rumored to have received its current nickname from a trainman who tripped when he navigated the spit of land between the upper and lower levels of the loop to give a roll-by to his passing train. We're watching the 484 and the train leave the lower section of the loop as it heads our way. Further down the rail, we've hopped aboard the Rattler, and we've arrived at the public grade crossing of Forest Road 117, more commonly known as Apache Crossing, and has been an iconic scene for rail photographers since the days of the Rio Grande. We're high above the Los Pinos Valley, as the Rattler stays true to its name and drifts downgrade at milepost 326. At the Los Pinos water tank, we watch as the 484 drifts downgrade. Having topped the cistern off at Cumbres, there's no need to fill from the tank here. water tank, and far below our bench, high above the valley, we witness the Rattler as it crosses the Rio de los Pinos for the first and only time. From this lowly pile trestle, this small stream will soon carve the immense chasm of the Toltec Gorge, only a few miles to the east. At Long Creek, the railroad swings over the creek from the Los Pinos Valley on a horseshoe curve on a long ago filled-in trestle. Cascade, the tallest trestle on the railroad, is soon reached after Long Creek. Cascade's towering heights are leapt here by this bridge constructed in 1889 of the same German design as Lobato Trestle on the other side of the pass. We travel further east past the Toltec Gorge and are at the east portal of Mud Tunnel, one of the two tunnels along the route. As the name implies, the tunnel is bored through volcanic breccia, a mud-like material, hence the name. And unlike the other one on the line, Rock Tunnel, Mud Tunnel is lined with steel and timber to support it through its length. As we leave Mud Tunnel, we roll through Toltec Siding, extended for the oil boom of the 1950s, which is one of the more remote places on the line as we watch 484 drift through here. West of Sublette, we watch the 484 make its way from the large cut at milepost 308. Today we'll head as far east as Bighorn, on the dividing line between the Conejos Range and the San Luis Valley. Here we'll turn on the Wye that, like the Toltec Siding, was extended during the San Juan oil boom to help allow trains to meet along this piece of railroad. We're on the slopes of Bighorn Peak, watching the eastbound Rattler enter the yard limits here. Westbound out of Bighorn, the railroad takes a serpentine route, looping over the many drainages of the Rio de los Pinos between here and Sublette. We're on one of these many fingers reaching into the canyon, looking towards the nearby Bighorn Peak, and across the Rio Grande and the San Luis Valley to the long dormant shield volcano of Ute Peak inside the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument. Approaching Sublette, the train loops around a drainage just before arriving at the long-shuttered railroad town. Of course, we soon arrive at Sublette, and the Rattler steams past the boarded-up railroad buildings before stopping at the water standpipe, just out of sight around the corner. Clinging some 600 feet high above the Rio de los Pinos inside the Toltec Gorge is Rock Tunnel, which, unlike Mud Tunnel, is an unlined tunnel through solid rock. Just before sunset, we're perched high above the chasm as 484 pierces the hole in the wall. The sun has set, and we're into the blue hour as 484 leads the train back into Los Pinos. This wide valley scale is measured well by the little train winding its way through the glacial moraines at its southern end as it heads towards the river crossing and the water tank here. as the fireman opens the butterfly doors on the back head of the firebox. Even across the valley at this time, we can see the light shining through the smoke and steam from our vantage point. Apache Crossing gives the train one last hope for running into the western sunlight. But it's too little, too late, as the sun has dropped far below the crest of Cumbres. Rounding onto the curved fill, taking the tracks away from Highway 17 and towards Tanglefoot Curve, the blue hour has given way to a magenta evening. And finally, with the last vestiges of the day fading, the Rattler has arrived at Cumbres Pass, to the first stars beginning to appear on the eastern horizon. To the west, the only point of light visible, other than the fading sun, is the train order signal atop the former section house, now doing duty as the Cumbres depot. Today, it shows no orders needing to be picked up. The Rattler will arrive later tonight in Chama, well after dark, under a blanket of stars and the setting Milky Way.
You're here. It's the end of the video. You made it. And since you're here, you can watch one of these other videos. And if you haven't, make sure you click like and subscribe so you get more content like this in your feed. I'd like to thank you for watching. I'm Big Deal.